Equally, our interest in the characters and authors of the Victorian age is far from petering out. Sherlock Holmes has yet another new incarnation on the TV screen, so too do the events and players in the Jack the Ripper case. Even the detective Jack Witcher has become the hero of a television drama series. But our modern depictions of violence have grown even nastier since the early days of the motion picture, or even No Orchids for Miss Blandish. The first episode of 2012's Ripper Street saw women being stripped naked, violently dismembered, and made to appear in snuff movies. This is fiction in the thriller genre, the meaner younger brother of the detective story, but has dominated since the Second World War. Yet the detective story is not quite dead either, even in its cosy, domesticated Golden Age form. Hercule Poirot is still just about in business on TV, as is the cuddlesome Foyle's War. While many people might argue that the violence in modern fiction shows that society is sinking fast into depravity, our story has shown that our thirst for blood is in fact at least 200 years old. But we've also seen that it is not timeless. Scratch John Bull, the archetypal red-faced beer-drinking patriotic Englishman, proclaimed the Pall Mall Gazette in 1887, and you find the ancient Briton who revels in blood, who loves to dig deep into a murder and devours the details of a hanging. While the ancient Briton might well have been of necessity a violent individual, though, he wasn't particularly anxious about murder. He and his descendants for many centuries lacked the luxury of being able to worry about such a comparatively rare event. Famine, disease, or war were far more pressing concerns. It was only with the turn of the 19th century that a new and awful significance became attached to the crime of murder, and that in consequence it took up its high position in art and culture. As we have seen, this fascination with murder can be ascribed to the limiting of the death penalty to fewer crimes, to the growth of literacy, and to the creativity of writers like Thomas de Quincey. It came about because of city living, and with it the dissolution of the surveillance society of the village. It was due to the marvels of the modern age, such as easily available rat poison and life insurance. In other words, our elevation of murder above all other crimes and forms of violence was a consequence of what we like to think of as civilization. From 1800 onwards, with the birth of a recognizably modern world, enjoying murder became an increasingly profitable and commercial business. The character of the fictional detective is such a strong strand of modern life that the Victorians seem directly connected to us today in a way that the Georgians don't, with their cheerfully rapscallion highwaymen, implausible Gothic novels, and policing by elderly volunteers. The Victorians are, indeed, our blood relatives. All through writing this book I've been worried about being too flippant about murder. It's not all good clean fun. There is horror here and tragedy beneath the puppetry and pageantry, but among the gore and horror we've also glanced aside at the history of literature, of education, of women's place in society, and of justice.